Hi everyone, this is Amy. This is just going to be one of my random videos that I always call me talking to myself video, and I always lose followers when I talk about this, but just, and when I started this channel way back, I can't even believe, like 2000, what was it, 14, 15, something like that, all through, gosh, it's been a while, all through the whole era of the pandemic, before the pandemic, during the pandemic. Man, I've been here a while. But anyway, I've been talking about my journey with my connection to John Lennon, yes, the Beatle, and yes, it's weird, and I've come to terms with it and not come to terms with it over and over again. And I lose followers every time I talk about this. And that's fine. That's okay. It is a weird thing. It's very weird. But it's something that I've had in my life, spiritual journey, and just, I don't know, what can I say? My spiritual awakening. Anyway, if you know, you know. If you're here to hear about that, then great. If not, then yeah, I can see why you'd unfollow me. So anyway, they always talk about how spirit talks to you, people on the other side. And for me, I've had a connection with John forever, since I was a teenager. And really, 18 was when I woke up to my connection with him, knew that we'd had past lives together, and it's just been my whole life. And then I would say about 2019 in particular was when it really ramped up, when I began to see him manifesting everywhere. And then I saw him in the sky in 2020, and 2020 was like this huge year for me and John. Almost, anyway, I'm not going to get into all that, but I did write a whole book about it. But I go back and forth. What is our connection? Do we even have a connection? Yes, we have a connection. And then I go back to not believing it, and then he has to prove it again, and then so one of the things that I've always asked was, who was I in John's life? Because clearly I was somebody. Clearly this didn't just happen. I've tried to not believe this whole connection my whole life. And then he proves it to me again. And then I don't believe it again. And then he proves it to me again, off and on, my whole life. And I began to realize that maybe I was his mother, Julia. Now, today is the anniversary of her passing, when John's mother, Julia, was hit by an off-duty police officer who had been drinking and struck as she was walking home, and he was about to see her, actually, and she was killed. And the off-duty drunk police officer was never held accountable, which sounds like what's happening in our world today with everything, where no one's held accountable. And I believe that contributed to John feeling a deep sense of injustice and mistrust of authority, and why he rebelled and revolution and all that stuff was because he just didn't trust authorities. And indeed, look what happened to him. Look what happened to him. And okay, so his mother. It's a weird thing, because it's like, I remember one time I was in my backyard, and I was like, okay, our connection is, for him and I, like mother, friend, sister, lover, father, brother, lover, in different lifetimes. And that's what our soul groups and our karmics and all of that's what it is. In each lifetime we're different, and we're not always the mother, we're not always the lover, we're not always the friend, it's not set in stone, but we're always together, like star constellations. We follow each other in different lives, and we teach each other lessons in each life, but we're always connected. Karmics are really bad, because that's really, really bad, hard lessons, but we do teach each other a lot. It's like the huge textbook. Karmics are like huge textbooks in your life. Soulmates are like a comfort, almost. We do teach each other things, but it's more of a comfort. It's more of a loving, symbiotic relationship each time. Like pets. I think pets have a lot of soulmate energy. companions and friends, and it was very painful when they pass away. But you know you'll be with them again. Karmics are, I taught you something, I made your life really hard and taught you something about yourself and brought you to the brink of despair, but also great epiphanies, and that's what karmics are. Well, I feel like John and I are more like twin soul, and he's even showed that to me. I know people clicking off right now, but see, it's always been hard for me to talk about this. So if you're still here, again, I'm just navel gazing talking about this, but whatever. His mother was killed. Really, to me, I always say killed because that's really what's, so was I his mother? Well, today is the anniversary of her passing in 1957, I believe. John was just a teenager. It devastated him. It affected his whole life. And, okay, so here's the funny thing. So I just recently, and I probably posted it on this video, painted a picture of his mother, Julia, who he's made me feel that I was many times. And that would explain a lot. So I painted that picture, and then I was like, why, you know, because I'm doing all this, I'm trying to do a Beatles art show, but I painted her picture, and I just found it funny that I did it right around now when it's the anniversary of her passing. So today I go to the driver's license place because I have to renew my license, and John's number is 9, and he sends me 909 711 117 a lot, which add up to 9, or 27 adds up to 9. And so I go in there and I get my I wait and I get my thing, it gets renewed, and it's $27. And then as I walk away from the, you know, take my picture and all that stuff, as I walk away, on the announcer thing it says number 9. Now here's the thing, so I go in there, and it also was the anniversary of when my mother died of cancer in right around this time of year. It was like July, August 2019. And I thought of her. I was like, isn't that ironic that it's July again? And just like July in 2019, when my mother was dying of cancer, I went and got my license renewed. And that was like the last motherly thing that she did, was she demanded I go get my license renewed. And I'd been taking care of her, you know, during the summertime, knowing she was going to pass and feeling great. Despair, sadness, and acceptance, and everything else you feel when someone's passing. But anyway, I just thought that was ironic. Getting my license renewed again, July. My mother passed. Thought of my mother again. How ironic, it's July. And then this little girl was in the corner, and she was spinning around in a dress with strawberries. And that's, to me, Strawberry Fields, John's mother. But here's the kicker. So I thought that was I thought that was really interesting. All these little combinations of things that happen, the way Spirit talks to you and how things align. Last week when I was at the restaurant that I work at, we have tables. People's names are on the table, and the tables are the row and the table number. So in the restaurant I work at, there is 606, 909, 711, 117. And I remember one day I was like, isn't that ironic that I would work in a place that has all those numbers that John sends to me? And then I got intuitively, you don't think it's on purpose? You don't think that we brought you to this restaurant to work where you would see these numbers all the time? Don't you think that's a little ironic? And I was like, oh, but guess what? His mother, Julia, in Liverpool, she listed as one of her occupations as theater usherette. And that's what I am. I'm basically what I am. And so last week, the people's names on the tables. Now, my mother's maiden name was Brown. His mother's name, common law marriage, was Bard. Like his sister Julia, his half sister Julia, is Julia Bard. So I'm looking at the names on the list because I have to write these comment cards and pass them out to people. And one of the tables says Brown, and I'm like, oh, that's weird. My mother's maiden name. Interesting. And I go and I give them a card. And okay, so before I pass out the other one and even see the name on the table, This woman walks up the stairs from the front row by the stage, and I think, what a beautiful woman. And I also think, I bet John's mother looked just like her. She had like long, sort of auburn hair. It was sort of petite and just elegant and beautiful. And she was older, but she was extremely beautiful. And I remember thinking, if I look like that when I'm whatever age she is, I'll be really happy. And so she walked and she went, I think, to the buffet or whatnot. And then she came back, and as she went down the stairs a little bit later, I thought, that looks like me from behind. It looks like my hair, and I would wear like a shawl like that, like a long flowery type of, thing, whatever. And I thought, it looks like me from behind, and I just thought that was interesting. So then I go and I pass out the card, and it's on the table that said Bard. Now, how many times do you see the name Bard? B-A-I-R-D, Bard, like bird. I don't know, I just thought that was John's way of saying there's this connection. I also think that even if he didn't do it, that's just how the universe does it. The universe says, and I just saw 11:11, the universe puts you together in these alignments, just like when you look at the clock and it's 11:11 or 4:44 or 2:22 or whatnot. You're in alignment, and the universe is going to send you those things over and over again. So yeah, and this morning I wanted to have a message from John, because I've been so sick, and the headache I had, like yesterday because I'd been sick. I've been really sick for a week, and waves of fever. And I told my son today, I said, I'm not hot like I was last week. I was miserable, and it's not hormonal. This is like a fever. I was fighting off a fever, and I do wonder if I had COVID again. Because it reminds me of when I had it before. Anyway, I haven't been feeling well. And then Friday was bad, Saturday was really bad, Sunday I felt a little better. But Monday I woke up with the worst headache, sinus infection ever, and all day, just the worst pain. And by the time I went to bed last night, I was like literally crying, and I was like, I'm so scared I'm gonna wake up with another headache, and it's going to be all day, and another day of my life being tortured inside my head, in this body, with another headache. And I was just like really on my knees, like, please God, please universe, don't make me have another headache. I can't take it. And my son was worried about me. I said, I'm gonna be okay, but I'm just really miserable, and I don't want to have another day of another all day being in torturous pain. And anyway, I woke up this morning and I thought, I just want to have a message from John. I just want a message. Now, I haven't gotten that message yet, except for at the driver's license plate, the little girl in the strawberry dress spinning around. And I thought, because I wrote in the book I wrote, that's kind of like John, I channeled John when I wrote it. And he describes his mother, Julia, in the front room of her house, in a dress with strawberry print, and the sunlight is on her hair. And it's just such a beautiful, like, he's the one, he wrote the book, really, he wrote the book. And so to see that little girl dancing around in the strawberry dress, and and I didn't know it was the anniversary of his mother passing, and then the picture I painted, and it's just interesting. I do think I was his mother, I do. And as I say that, I see that woman at the theater walking up the stairs and looking like his beautiful mother, Julia. And then walking down the stairs and looking like me with my long red hair. And I don't think I'm beautiful, so that's why I'm like, from the front it looked like her, from the back, okay, it looked like my hair and whatever. I just thought that was interesting, how it all comes together, and how spirit works, and how no matter what, doesn't even matter. It's just when we're in alignment and you see how these things work, you can't help not see it. It's just so obvious. Anyway, I thought I would share that. If anybody does want me to talk more about my connection to John, now some people would say twin flame. I've had people say it's twin flame, and I really struggle with that, because you see, there's if you notice that there's other readers out there like there's no such thing as twin flame, and John has told me that we are twin flame, but or more like twin soul, really. And I could tell you all of that story of all the connections that John had. Like I had Aunt Khaki, he had Aunt Mimi. He went from rich house to poor house. I went from rich house to poor house. We both got our guitar about the same age and started learning how to write and play, and lots of things. We've had lots of similar things in our life. We even look alike. But yeah, anyway, I'll stop this. Thanks for listening, and take care. Bye.